They booked a weekend getaway to a replica of a famous murder house, thinking it would be a thrilling escape, but they didn't know the real killer was already part of the experience, waiting to turn their fantasy into a bloody reality. Tonight, their screams won't be part of the act. Our story begins with Scott, a die-hard horror aficionado, and his girlfriend Madison, who clearly isn't as thrilled. They arrive at the Macher House experience, a meticulously recreated setting of the infamous Woodsboro murders. Inside, the house is a shrine to the grisly events that transpired there. Chalk outlines mark where bodies fell, and fake bloodstains adorn the floors. Scott is in heaven, reenacting death scenes and geeking out over every detail. Madison, however, just wants to find the bathroom. As they explore, a sudden movement catches Madison's eye. A figure in a Ghostface mask lunges at her with a knife. She screams and runs for her life, only to find Scott laughing. The killer is just a motion-activated animatronic. Scott finds it incredibly cool. Just as they settle in, the landline rings. Thinking it is part of the experience, Scott eagerly answers. The familiar, menacing voice of Ghostface proposes a game of scary movie trivia. 3 questions. Get one wrong, you die. Scott confidently answers the first 2 questions correctly, but the third question about Jason Voorhees' age stumps him. After a detailed calculation, he answers 11. The voice declares him incorrect. But Madison, surprisingly, knows the trick answer. Jason never drowned. The voice congratulates her and hangs up, leaving them with a chilling 5-star rating request. The fun and games, however, are officially over when Madison's cell phone rings. It is Ghostface again, but this time, the voice is filled with genuine malice. The fun part is over. Madison, suddenly, a figure in the Ghostface costume lunges at her. She fights back, only to unmask her boyfriend, Scott, who thought a prank would lighten the mood. But as they argue, the animatronic behind them moves differently. Before Scott can react, a real knife plunges into his gut. A new Ghostface has joined the party. Madison fights for her life, but the killer is relentless. She is thrown, stabbed, and ultimately hung from a chandelier before being dropped to her death. The killer douses her body in gasoline, setting the house ablaze. The opening night of the Macher House experience ends in a real-life bloodbath. The story then shifts to a quiet suburban town, where we meet our new protagonist, Tatum. Her peaceful evening is interrupted when her boyfriend, Ben, climbs through her window, a classic horror movie trope. Their romantic moment is cut short by Tatum's mother, who is revealed to be the legendary final girl, Sydney Prescott. Sydney, now living under the name Evans, is fiercely protective of her daughter, a trait born from a lifetime of running from masked killers. This overprotectiveness has created a rift between them, as Tatum feels suffocated and kept in the dark about her mother's past. Later, Sydney receives a horrifying video call. It is a deepfake of Stu Macher, her deceased former tormentor, taunting her from beyond the grave. The voice, a chillingly accurate AI recreation, informs her that he is outside Tatum's high school theater. It is showtime. At the theater, a real-life horror show unfolds during rehearsal. Ghostface hijacks the stage equipment, brutally murdering 2 of Tatum's classmates, Hannah and Aaron. Sydney and her husband, Mark, the town's police chief, arrive too late. The nightmare she fought so hard to escape has found her and her family once again. As police secure their home, Sydney knows they can't stay. But as they prepare to flee, Ghostface strikes again. In a brutal struggle, Mark is viciously attacked and left for dead. Sydney and Tatum manage to escape into a hidden safe room, but the message is clear: there is nowhere to hide. Just as all hope seems lost, help arrives in the most unexpected way. A new Ghostface attacks Mark outside, but is suddenly run over by an SUV. Behind the wheel is none other than Gail Weathers, star reporter and fellow Legacy survivor. With her are her hot interns Mindy and Chad Meeks Martin, the horror-savvy niece and nephew of the late Randy Meeks. The unmasked killer is a stranger, an escaped patient from Fallbrook Psychiatric Hospital, named Carl Gibbs. The mystery deepens. Who is he working with, and is Stu Macher truly back from the dead? Sydney and Gail, a reluctant but effective team, decide to investigate. Their journey takes them to Fallbrook, where they uncover a crucial clue. Carl Gibbs was close friends with another patient, a John Doe with severe head trauma and amnesia, who arrived in the late 90s and was released just 2 weeks ago. Could this John Doe be a scarred and broken Stu Macher? Meanwhile, Tatum, tired of being a victim, gathers her friends with the help of Mindy and Chad. They convene at a closed tavern to Agatha Christie the situation and unmask the killer among them. The suspects are all present. To lure the killer out, Sydney and Gail stage a live television interview. Gail pushes Sydney's buttons, bringing up her children and past trauma, hoping to provoke a response. The bait works. Ghostface calls in, but with a horrifying twist. He reveals he is at the tavern with her daughter. Panic ensues as the tavern becomes a death trap. Ghostface locks them in and begins a bloody rampage. In the chaos, Mindy, Chad and others are brutally attacked. Lucas is stabbed and killed. While Sydney races to the scene, the killer pursues Tatum, who has fled to her home. What follows is a harrowing sequence as Sydney, on the phone, guides her terrified daughter through a fight for her life. She instructs Tatum on how to find the gun in the safe and use it. Tatum, you are like me. Following her mother's instructions, Tatum shoots the killer through a wall. But in a classic horror movie mistake, she hesitates to shoot him in the head. The killer rises and attacks, leaving Tatum's fate unknown as Sydney arrives. Sydney enters her home to find a twisted tableau. Her wounded husband Mark and daughter Tatum are held hostage outside. The two killers unmask themselves. One is the John Doe from the hospital, the man Tatum shot but failed to kill. The other, the mastermind, is their neighbor Jessica. Jessica's motive is a chilling tale of obsession. Inspired by Sydney's book, she killed her own abusive husband. But when Sydney retired from the public eye, Jessica felt betrayed. She met her accomplice at Fallbrook, and together they orchestrated this new wave of terror. Her goal, to kill Sydney and mold Tatum into Sydney 2.0, continuing the bloody cycle. The final battle is a brutal, desperate struggle for survival. Sydney, fueled by a mother's rage, fights with everything she has. Tatum, having found her inner strength, joins the fight, proving she is indeed her mother's daughter. Together, they take down the killers, ending the nightmare once and for all. In the aftermath, amidst the flashing lights of police cars and ambulances, a moment of peace. Sydney finally opens up to Tatum, telling her about the original Tatum, her best friend, who was funny, outspoken, and fearless. She named her daughter Tatum as a wish for her to be strong and unafraid. Tonight, that wish came true.